Starting directly after the end of Shadow of Mordor, we find Talion and Celebrimbor inside Mount Doom to continue their dumbest idea ever, to create a new ring of power that they will use to defeat Sauron, because nothing ever goes wrong when you create a ring of power. Well, 5 seconds after they're done forging the new ring, something goes wrong. Celebrimbor is magically swept away by some ethereal force, and Talion nearly dies without Celebrimbor giving him his life force. Talion puts on the new ring and sets out to find his partner in crime.
The Wraith calls to you. I call to you.
Wraith!
He eventually tracks down the elf in a cave imprisoned by the scantily clad Shelob. She will only release Celebrimbor if Talion hands over the new ring, to which he reluctantly agrees. Like our star duo, Shelob also despises Sauron and wishes to see him defeated. She uses the ring to see visions of the future and reveals to our duo that they must go to Minas Ithil, the last Gondorian stronghold in Mordor. They must retrieve a Palantir that is hidden in the city, a tool that allows the person who possesses it to see anything they desire. Once at Minas Ithil, the odd couple begin to show cracks as they disagree on their objective. Talion wants to help his fellow Gondorians and defend the city from Sauron's siege. Celebrimbor just wants to find the Palantir and leave Minas Ithil to its fate. Talion wins the argument and argues that by helping Minas Ithil, they are guarding the Palantir. Talion slices and dices his way through legions of orcs and helps the city until they are betrayed by General Castamir, the Gondorians' leader. Castamir hands over the city and the Palantir to the Witch King in return for the safety of his daughter Idril. The Witch King immediately betrays the idiot, formerly known as Castamir, and slaps him aside like a ragdoll. Talion desperately fights off the Nazgul and nearly perishes, but is saved at the last minute by the elven assassin Etriel. She kills Talion to spare him from the Nazgul's corruption, knowing that the Gravewalker will rise from the grips of death.
So it is true.
You killed me.
And yet you live.
Now with the Palantir in his possession, Sauron sees that Shelob has the new ring of power and sends the ring wraiths to retrieve it. Realizing that Sauron knows about the new ring, Talion and Celebrimbor rush to Shelob's aid and get there just in time before the Nazgul could overtake her. She hands the ring back to Talion and puts the future of Middle-earth back in his hands.
Build your army. Your path will be made clear.
Back in full force, Talion begins to build his army by dominating orcs with the power of the new ring. The Bright Lord starts to become as feared as the Dark Lord in the land of Mordor, as they enslave legions of orcs and siege Sauron's fortress. Once the duo are strong enough, they begin to hunt the Nazgul and eventually encounter Isildur, the legendary king who cut Sauron's hand off and took the One Ring as his own. Talion defeats Isildur, and Celebrimbor enslaves him just as Sauron had. Talion, feeling conflicted, kills Isildur and sets him free.
I cannot allow this. Isildur, I release you! No! Find peace.
Celebrimbor is outraged, feeling that Talion is weak for not seeing the bigger picture. Talion realizes that Celebrimbor is just like Sauron, that they're the opposite sides of the same coin. Etriel agrees with Celebrimbor that Sauron cannot be destroyed and that the Bright Lord must rule over the land of Mordor in order to hold back Sauron. Celebrimbor betrays Talion and abandons him, giving the new ring to Etriel. Without Celebrimbor at his side, Talion begins drifting into death. He sees Shelob in a vision, and she tells him that he did the right thing.
When you and Celebrimbor forged a new ring of power, I saw where your path ended. Locked in battle against Sauron at the top of Barad-dûr. And you won. Sauron was enslaved, and the Bright Lord rose in his place. The armies of Mordor marched forth under his banner, and Middle-earth fell under his heel. That is the future I fought against. The future you prevented.
She convinces him to find his strength and to keep fighting. Awakening from the vision, Talion reaches for Isildur's ring of power to save his life. He is fully revived, holding the ring's corruption at bay. He assaults Minas Morgul and defeats the Witch King, regaining control of the Palantir. He uses the Palantir and watches as Etriel and Celebrimbor confront Sauron at the top of his tower. Sauron cuts Etriel's ring finger and uses the opportunity to merge himself with Celebrimbor. As a result, Sauron and Celebrimbor's spirits remain perpetually trapped in Sauron's tower, battling for dominance over one another. Talion decides to use Minas Morgul to hold back the darkness from spreading beyond Mordor, but he eventually succumbs to the darkness and fully becomes a ring wraith. When Frodo finally destroys the ring many decades later, Talion is finally set free and is allowed to find the peace that has always eluded him.
Cracked, crushed, fallen. Beauty.